folks who were in the role of the youth, or the person who's trying to make a decision, how does this process seem? But first off, who was trying to decide something? Okay. So some feedback from you guys. What did this process? How did this process feel? What did you think about it?
I felt very good because she was paying attention to me and my
I know.
Yeah.
You get to keep on
Very focused on you and what you need. Yeah.
It's all about me.
It does feel good, right?
Sort of reality check.
Reality check. Tell me a little more about it.
Well, it's like, there's a definite goal, definite want, but like, the way I want to do option one, how's that gonna actually happen? You know, like, it's like, forces me to verbalize, like, I'm out of here, I'm gonna go do this, well, I actually can't. It's impossible, I'm on an island.
Right. We're looking at the disadvantages. It's not possible. It's not attainable. That's a big disadvantage there, but it does cause you to verbalize the process. It's really important because that's how we're seeing it through. You know, we're taking that time to think through. I'm going to put this down, it's going to end up flying somewhere. Okay. So, others who are making a decision.
It was kind of nice because I thought things through, but then it's nice to hear other people, like they point out different advantages and disadvantages.
Absolutely. Yeah. We talk a lot, I talk a lot with the youth about, they come with their own set of resources and knowledge, and they're actually the expert in this conversation because it's them, okay? And then there is the experiences that I've had and the people that I'm connected to, and we're just going to throw all that on the table, right? They're still going to make the decisions, but maybe I've had some different experiences that I can share with them so they would expand their options, or maybe see it from the advantages or disadvantages from a different view. So I'm not telling them, I'm just showing them some other ideas. So that's great. Why not? Anyone else?
I thought that it, well, I thought it really helped it become real about talking about it, and because I might be contemplating something in my mind
Right.
about it, something, you know, a decision or whatever, and nobody else knows or whatever, and maybe I don't ever decide. So
Right.
actually going through this process, somebody else heard it as well.
Right.
It became a little more real at that
Right.
point.
That's awesome. It's a great point.
Yeah.
Because we have things float around our heads all the time. It doesn't. It kind of brings it to right here, and something that might happen now. More
Right.
likely.
It's more
Let's see,
likely.
It's more likely because now we've shared that. That's right. Absolutely. Anyone else? The guys with other ones. Yeah, people who are making the decisions. Anyone else have anything else to put, I should say?
I
What?
found it a little bit anticlimactic
Okay.
when we got to the point where it says, now, pick a solution.
I was hoping you would bring that up. I heard that in your conversation. So, but tell, just so everybody's on the same page, why that was.
Well, we came up with 3 different options, and then we listed the advantages of each of them. And then we listed the disadvantages. Like, okay, we're getting some clarity here, and this is not good idea. Does it come with some weight like disadvantages? And then, okay, now pick one.
Yeah, weren't quite ready.
Well, yeah, I guess I wanted more.
Conversation and more thought.
Yeah. But sometimes the situation is just as plain as it looks, so you still got to just pick one.
Yeah, what could we do though with the youth that feels that same way? Because you know what, this happens all the time. Okay. One, we thought what you said. Sometimes we think things are more complicated than they are, and when you just kind of lay it out like that, you're like, no, that's got to be harder than that. It's got to be harder than just pick one. But that's not always what's going on. Sometimes maybe I'm not ready for a change, and I am more vested, even though it wasn't the option I really think was the best option. Then probably should check this other one. I even kind of want to do this one now that we've lined this out. I'm still very,
There's something
I'm attached to it.
Yeah.
You know, attached to that option. And so this is something that we're going to need to, you're going to find. For the situation where, let's say the second one, they're more attached to an option. What are some, how can we help the youth with that? Maggie?
Well, we ended up doing some scale stuff, like needing and scaling into this, because even though she had some disadvantages, it wasn't really clear how much they weighed. So it was
Good point.
scale from 1 to 10, how strongly does this bother you? She's at 7. And then I said, how many days a week do you spend, do you think about this? She's at 7. So that was very telling. Wow, so every single day you're thinking
chip off of this disadvantage, I might lose, you know, some extra time of play. Now, depending on the person, or depending on which one weighed more, but there's a different weight to those decisions. So that's a great way to weed that piece out. And I think just asking that, which of these advantages do you feel the most attached to or the strongest about or mean the most to you? And kind of highlighting those. Which disadvantage do you feel is more of a disadvantage or you feel stronger about or means more to you? Okay, so you can kind of see where maybe you only have one disadvantage off of something. It might be so-called equal to 3 somewhere else. And you kind of weed some of that stuff out in those conversations.
And she actually wrote the number down next to it,
Mm-hmm.
of how many times when you were doing your back.
Absolutely. As the person who was, thank you guys for sharing, by the way. As the person who was facilitating this process, what are some of the things that came out of the process that stood out to you?
When to get suggestions, when to not. Like, 'cause when we were talking about good walking on lunch break, like getting back into that routine, some of the options about doing that. Like there are some disadvantages that I would suggest to her if I was doing it with a kid. I'm not going to be throwing out as many disadvantages, trying to be on the side of weighing them down. I mean, to be on the side of staying positive, whatever the situation is. So just thinking about that when actually becoming going on.
And how much influence am I swinging when I am adding it? There's sometimes I have things to say, but I realize by me saying it, I'm taking the focus off of them running the process. That's really hard sometimes. I have a lot to say. Just be honest. I have a lot of experience in this area. I'm gonna help you out. Yes.
Problem solving some of the disadvantages that might have come up, but that was still with options that the person you're working with really had a strong attachment to the advantages on it, and the disadvantages were solvable.
Mm-hmm. So hard to not just jump into problem solving that, or make sure I'm on the same page.
Doing a sidetrack of problem solving that in order to come back to being able to choose the solution.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is, and it's really tricky. And I'd say that there's pieces that we need to do. It's really tricky not to do it in the middle of the process. Getting everything down first, and then doing some of that, or asking them if that's where they would like to do. Would you like to look at some of the way to mitigate some of these? We'll just mitigate with the kid, depending on the kid. But anyways, some of these disadvantages.
It was hard for me to look at this activity as I would have utilized it with a client, because I was talking with Jeannie, who, you know, is a friend.
Yeah.
So and I would approach that very differently than I would with the client, So it was kind
Thank
of like
you
a
for having
muddled
appropriate.
activity, because like maybe if there was like some kind of, if you did this again, or if we did a different activity, it's like maybe provided a situation and one person takes on the role as the client and another person
Yeah.
as the skills trainer.
You would have said something different to me if I was a client instead of.
I would have given,
What would you feel would be different?
I would have let, like, I kind of felt like I was jumping in too much with, saying advantages and disadvantages, where I probably would have held back more with the client, like waiting to see, are they gonna come up with it on their own?
Right. And one thing I want to point out with that too is, as we go through, we don't pick favorite clients, okay? We have also clients who we have put a lot of effort and time and energy, and we have spent a lot of time with, and whatever. It's our wanting to be invested in a client as much as we are very professionals and we do our best to stay where we're all treating everybody the same. I've been around working with youth and kids too long. There are those times where you might have a little bit more investment in a certain youth, not intentionally, where you might want to add a little bit, help a little bit more problem solve than intentionally. So I can see this dynamic, I see what you're saying, but I can see this dynamic also potentially coming up, maybe not, maybe you don't do that, but I've seen it across, I've seen it before. I've seen it before. So I'm just saying that it is hard not to at times fall into that. That's what I'm trying to say. You bring it to a point that you're bringing it out as because she was your friend, but I've seen skills trainers do it because of how invested they they are in this particular youth's success, or in youth success, period. You know, and so don't forget about this advantage, okay? Don't forget about this disadvantage, you know, and really trying to, I think it goes back to like what Roxy's saying, is knowing when to add, this takes practice, you know, knowing when to put your own advantage or disadvantages on there. So thanks for bringing that up, because it's a great point. Maggie.
Two things come to mind for me, and one of them is, even though it's helpful to go through the adoption, we actually kept going back because we knew the job remembering, so it's not being too rigid with that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, I actually like to do this listed over a course of a few sessions, so that they, because they'll come back and be like, oh, you know what, actually, like, that's not a disadvantage anymore, or something like that. I actually don't mind that, or they thought of a bunch of other ones. So,
Absolutely.
like most, I mean, I guess some decisions that you need to make more quickly, but for instance, like joining a team or whatever it is, something with their family, like whether or not they're going to confront someone, or something like that about an issue, they can take their time with it. And that also teaches them to slow down.
So, yeah. And I think that that would have gone along, it goes a long way with what Jeannie was saying too, is even though we were at the solution part, we don't necessarily just have to say, okay, now that we've done these steps, choose. Okay, it could be, okay, now that we've done these steps, Jeannie, how about this week, think it through, and look at the advantages and disadvantages, and let's talk about maybe what you want to decide, you know, next week, and see where you're at. That gives you time to kind of weigh out those ones that you're attached to, or not so attached to, and see how much they really weigh. Lydia?
And potentially combine options.
Don't just have to have one necessarily. Yep. Maybe mitigate some of those disadvantages.
I was just thinking that sometimes you get there and you're like, well, through this process, I don't think I've come up with the solution I want, but I definitely know I don't want that one, or I definitely know I don't want that one. But I need another opportunity to come up with some different options.
Absolutely. And on the actual, which I don't know how many slides back there, so I'm not going to go there, but if you see, I think it's in your handouts too, where it has a sodas and it says what each section is, you'll see arrows that go back to the beginning. Because there's times that you just, we were talking about this actually with Sharon and Maggie's group. I think Sharon was trying to figure out what kind of flooring she wanted, and what she determined she wanted linoleum. Well, now she's going to go back, the situation is I want linoleum. What kind? Right? What kind of linoleum? So maybe I want this kind or that kind, this kind. So we're now back to the top. We're looking at the situation again. Even though we went through that, it's changed a little bit. Or we're now on the next one. So this isn't an ending piece necessarily. It's not do it one time and you're done. Okay? A lot of times when we're making decisions and we're trying to change, I think it's important that we give youth time to kind of talk it through, like Maggie was saying, or when we get to the solution piece, give them that time to process what we just talked about. And the important part of that is, though, is setting up some way of following up. We didn't just have this conversation, and then I'm going to randomly ask you about it next time. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, let's check in next week. How about in a couple weeks? That kind of thing. And again, the other part I want to put in, we want to teach the youth this situation. We want to teach them this process. We want to show it to them so that they can do it. You know, same way. Maybe we do it together. Maybe next time you try doing it on your own, or I'm here and you lead, that kind of thing. Or on your own, just kind of build it in where they can do it. The whole goal is that they are able to do it on their own. Any other comments about this exercise that you guys came up when you were doing this exercise? The one thing actually I just remembered that I think Maggie had brought up was she sometimes uses the words, what will I gain or what will I lose versus advantages and disadvantages. You know, what will I gain by this, what will I lose by this? And so what I want to point out, and that was a great point when she brought it up, was that you know your youth best. If you say, what's the advantages and disadvantages, and they kind of do the little, or what connects closest to them, but it means the same thing. It's okay to utilize those words. We're not stuck. Even that's our acronym, guys. We're not stuck with advantages and disadvantages. Did you have something to think?
Well, I was just going off their language because it's always like, well, what do I get?
Yeah.
Or I lose my freedom, I lose my privileges, I lose my money. So that's just why I use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tied to exactly, you know, the words that they're utilizing. So, I think before we move to this next one, I want to make sure it's true. The first time I use these particular set of the slides, so. Now let's keep going here just a second. So let's talk about a couple of the common challenges that exist when applying SOTAs with youth. But these are ones that they're utilizing it, the TIP process has found are common ones, and then we can talk about what we might see. Participation. You know, anyone ever run into this challenge with youth?
I think that's maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, I don't care. Yeah. So, before I say anything else, I want to own the fact that there are times you literally are not going to get past that point in that session or in that interaction. Okay, now that I have stated that, what are some ways that we can maybe solicit in participation?
I guess that they write down Main Street on the phone.
Absolutely. One option is, it's amazing how well it works when they're really stuck. You guys gotta try it sometime. What's another way we can maybe solicit some participation? Thought I heard something.
No, we didn't hear what you
What's that? We didn't hear what Jeannie said?
Yeah.
Ride down Main Street on a hippopotamus, my example of throwing out options, random options. You probably did hear it and think it couldn't possibly mean that.
I've often thought that it should be, but.
Could ask questions.
Yes.
I was gonna say that you can kind of meet them where they're at. Maybe they came in and they had a really crappy day and this is not what they want to do right now, so go from there and then jump over that hurdle before you start doing what you had on the schedule.
You got it, absolutely. Figure out where they're at. It's important. Sometimes we're going one way and we go, well, stop, hold on. So Leanne, you know, what's going on today? Where are you at? What's happening? Amazing how much just a few conversations right there, sometimes that's what you need to just do. But it's amazing how many times a few conversations in that area of what's going on and checking in with them and validating what's going on with them will end up leading right back into what you had going on if you don't, if you pick up on that early enough in the conversation. What are some other ways to solicit participation?
The play dumb, like, how would we do that?
Yeah, that's another great trick. How does that work? Tell me about that.
We do that sometimes, and I'm pretty sure the kids really think I am dumb. They're like,
But how much are they invested in helping you after that? They want you to figure this out.
Yeah, it's true.
It's easier if you actually don't know.
Yeah, it is easier if you actually don't know. Huh.
I think too, like talking to them about other things, like, kind of goes back to meeting where they're at, but it might not be that they are in a bad place, but just talking about something else and working the conversation back around it, talk about whatever
Absolutely.
else can come back.
Come back around to it. Also, sometimes one of the things we know that our youth struggle the most with, right, is transitions. So we're getting ready to do SOTAs or futures planning or whatever, and come in the FRC because kid's been, you know, waiting there for you. Got the iPad, or maybe he just finished up a math homework in the school setting or something like that. And okay, you ready, Jeannie? Let's go. You know, you might not be ready. I'm watching a video. Are you kidding me? I'm watching the middle of a video. The goat has not bowed yet. Okay? I cannot stop watching this video. For those that don't know, there's this, I don't think I've ever seen
And
it.
the client actually showed me those videos.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen them. I've heard the baa a million times, but I guess it's like this random video, then a sheep just baws randomly at you. Anyways, so my point is like, they're in the middle of that. You can't just leave in the middle of that, right? So maybe there's a transition that's going on, and we need to give them, check in with them and ask them, do you think you'd be ready in a few minutes or something like that. Help them with those transitions. And this is like the perfect place for cursors here. Okay. Anyone ever make this face or try to refrain from making this face by some of the things that we tell you? Yeah, they might list some things that are extremely dangerous or silly. They might actually come up with the idea very seriously about riding the hippopotamus through town. That's what I need to do, right? what your responses are to some of these, you know. We want to lead them by our voice and our tone and our body language sometimes, you know. Well, I could go get a hot one. All of us are probably less receptive to that one right now, but there are some others. Anyone think of one that they really had to hold back this expression, or one like it, that a youth presented an option? Can you narrow one down for us, Libby? Killing themselves is a big one. Yeah, it's really big. That's a hard one too, not to
Continue prostituting.
continue prostituting. Yeah. So what's the advantages? You know, I mean, like you really got to look at it. There are. Any other ones that kind of just stand out as kind of shocking? I'm sure we had them. I know it's late in the afternoon trying to pull those memories out of your brains. It's harder as the clock ticks farther. Mine too, by the way.
Run away from home.
What's that?
Run away from home.
Run away from home.
Get pregnant.
Getting pregnant. Yeah. That's the goal. Yep. I like, my favorite is when they're just telling a story and they name like 5 things that your brain goes, wait, what? Wait, hold on. Huh? And they're just saying it like it's no big deal, you know? We were over there the other day and like they were just like punch out on the side corner and like so-and-so was doing this and that and then they named like 5 things that they didn't even blip on their radar of it being something that might be out of the ordinary and you're kind of going, yes. You know? But it's important. We kind of laugh about it, but it's so important how we respond. We can't go into the judgmental mode. We can't just be shocked. What would be one of the disadvantages of me when a youth came and said, you know, one of my goals is to continue the prostitution that I'm in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're doing what?
I can talk to you anymore.
I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Probably one of the number one things, right? And there's obviously safety and things around there that some conversations we need to have, right? Doesn't mean we just like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. But we don't want to be freaked out about it, or at least we don't want to display our freaking out about it. Doesn't do us any good to lose that connection. We can't do anything with that. Okay. Challenge number 3. Validating all disadvantages. Or advantages sometimes too. So basically what's saying is we don't want to ignore disadvantages, you know, of our favorite options. I really want Jeannie to do this, this, and this. So when she says disadvantages about it, I'm like, well, that's not really a disadvantage, because see, you know, because that's our favorite option. That's the one we want them to do. Right? So we mitigate, we downplay those disadvantages. That's not really a disadvantage. We also don't want to reverse that and make the advantages so much bigger. Oh yeah, but don't forget about this advantage of that, and don't forget about this advantage, and don't forget, because we're trying to load up on the one that we want them to do. We're trying to load all the advantages on that one.
So that should be like, remain unbiased.
Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. Remain unbiased. Huh? What's that?
Pretend to be unbiased.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna say, I'm like, well, those bias exist,
Yeah.
but
That's a good clarification.
Set them aside.
And that's what they're clarifying. So we're going to pretend to be unbiased, seeing as how it's impossible to truly be unbiased. Wow, there's a lot of response to this one. Anyone ever been? You haven't done that. Where you're going to actually fall on the individuals? Jeff, did you clear them?
I did.
Because this guy is not going to clear them. He's on the way down.
And I guess the person at the end realized
pink
that
shirt is
too.
on.
Yeah, look at that
Pink
look at the
shirt's
guy,
toast,
right?
and look, he's looking up. He's like, oh no, he's gonna get me.
So, if they select a harmful solution, here's some of the key points there. You know, we want to discuss the potential for consequences. This is not, now that they have made a choice, you know, I'm going to go out and just shoot my friend. Okay, in the beginning that might have just been an option, that we're not going to, we're going to put it down. We're going to look at advantages and disadvantages, right? Now I've chosen this is what I'm going to do. We can't just be like, okay, your choice. It still is their choice, but we need to talk to but there's some real disadvantages to this. We're also gonna talk to them about the fact that we have to say something because they're about to harm somebody else.
I don't think they're gonna have any choices left.
Yeah. They say that. He's only gonna have 2 friends left. That's a good rationale right there, right? If you don't jump off this on top of this game, depending upon whether that's their goal. So we want to use a rationale, we want to add the carrot statements on the end of this if they're choosing harmful ones. Obviously, we might have to report DTS. I had to what is that? It's, yes. Very good, very good. And my copy. So DTS or DTO is, we may have to report danger to self or danger to others. Well, we do have to report danger to self or danger to others. May have to, I'm just kidding. We might have to refer to a prevention plan if there's one in place, or maybe develop one, depending upon where we're at with them. And we want to follow up with, our supervisors, possibly their parents or others as we're required to. And this is when they're selecting seriously harmful things, maybe cutting, suicide, danger to others, danger to self, that kind of thing. We did that already. We are ahead of the game. I have to show this video, this slide, because we've already kind of talked about this. But as helpers, we have a powerful desire to set things right, to heal, prevent harm, promote well-being. This is the righting reflex. We want to right them, want to get them in the right spot. And so we need to be aware of that. Huh?
Why does he think that's a good idea?
Because he does. Why not? Maybe you got dared to do it or something. You never know. So
Cool.
absolutely. Okay. Well, let's take a 10-minute break. And then we'll come back.
In
Let's do
South
15.
Dakota, that's a metal pole in the middle of winter.
Right, exactly, yeah. Like, Christmas story.